boy Lucas, aka Television Sub from TikTok. So as you can assume by the title, today we're going to be talking about The Boys, specifically covering an iceberg on it. There are 6 tiers on this iceberg. It's not going to be a super long video, but let's just jump right into it. So tier 1 is very basic stuff about the show. I'll put a timestamp on screen if you want to skip it.
Fab 5 Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ spinning.
Superhero parody. So this is literally what the show is. It's a parody of many other superhero shows. Pretty much every member of the 7 is a parody of some popular superhero. Homelander is Superman, Queen Maeve is Wonder Woman, The Deep is Aquaman, and A-Train is The Flash. They pretty much all have similar powers to their superhero counterparts as well. Toronto. Toronto is where the show is primarily filmed, although in the show universe, they are in New York City. They've had some problems with filming because of the residents, and a lot of people don't like the show being filmed there. It gets very cold during the winters up there, as you would expect, so it can make filming a little rough sometimes. And the filming almost got delayed because of how cold it got up there one winter. Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen is the executive producer of the show. He originally had plans to turn The Boys into a movie way back in 2008, but it kind of fell through. He was then recruited back in 2017 to be an executive producer for the show, so it all works out in the end. He also appears in the show, playing none other than Seth Rogen. As we know, in the universe of The Boys, everything is the same but the superheroes, so Seth Rogen's still a celebrity, pushing the limits. I had to include this on here because that is one of the primary focuses in the show. They want to push those TV limits as far as they can before they get told to stop, or their show gets canceled. I mean, sure, it contributes a little bit to the story, but was Herogasm truly necessary? And so far, they've let them include some crazy scenes. I'm impressed by the cast's willingness to go through all of this. Political satire. Another huge focus in the show is making fun of politics. The show is no stranger to making fun of political parties and certain beliefs, and they don't exactly try to make these points subtle. It's too important to the show not to include on here.
Lord, the 7 seas, the deep.
Comic differences. So there are many differences from the comics to the TV show, to the point where the only main similarities are the characters included. A vast majority of the 7 can fly in the comics, while in the show it's mainly Homelander that possesses that ability. Also, the boys are pretty much all soups in the comics after taking Compound V, and they take it pretty early on from what I understand. The comics also rely a lot more on shock factor than the show, and I've also heard that the comics are a lot worse than the show. There's just considerably more gore and violence in the comics, if you can imagine that. Gen V. This is the name of the upcoming spin-off for The Boys. It takes place in America's only college specifically for young adult superheroes, obviously run by Vought. It explores the lives of, quote, hormonal yet competitive soups as they compete amongst each other by putting their physical, mental, and moral boundaries to the test to earn the biggest contracts they can in the best cities. It's described as part college show, part Hunger Games, but it stays just as raunchy as The Boys. There's going to be a lot of crossover between The Boys and the spin-off, as it's pretty much happening around the same time The Boys is taking place. We'll see the students' reactions to the Soldier Boy stuff going on, Homelander losing his mind, all that good stuff. Jazz Sinclair will be the main actress in the show, with the main cast also including others like Lizzie Broadway, London Thor, Derek Liu, and Sean Patrick Thomas, with many more I didn't list. I'm excited for the spinoff. Barack Obama. Barack Obama revealed in an interview with Entertainment Weekly that The Boys was one of his favorite shows at the moment, along with Better Call Saul. He loves how the show presents itself like a superhero show, but it's laced with bare issues of race, capitalism, and the distorting effects of corporate power and mass media. The showrunner was elated to hear that Barack Obama himself is a fan of the show, even telling Obama that if he ever wanted to hang out, just hit his DMs. I would be excited too if a former president was a fan of my show. That is really exciting stuff. But it also means that Barack Obama witnessed Herogasm, and that's something that's really weird to think about. KIMIKO'S language. So Karen Fukuhara worked with sign language coach Amanda Richard to create a form of sign language only used by Kimiko and her brother. Obviously, Frenchie started using it as well in season 3. Fukuhara said this sign language in the show, along with Amanda Richard sharing her sign language experiences with her, has made her realize that society doesn't really cater to disabled people. It just makes you feel like an outsider in society. And the fact that they made up a language for this show is really impressive, and Karen Fukuhara took the time to learn it, so really shout out to her. Fantastic actress. The Peak. So I don't know if this is something that's only on TikTok, because that's where I see it all over my comment section, and everywhere, but people love the Deep. The most common nickname I see for him is the Peak, basically meaning he's peak fiction, he's the Deep. The whole joke is that he's realistically one of the most useless members of the Seven. Fighting wise, ability wise, I mean, let's face it, he can talk to fish. Not in a cool Aquaman way, he can't like control them, he can talk to them and probably convince them. With the stuff he does with fish, he's more of an R-rated Aquaman. Now I personally think the Deep jokes are hilarious, but it should end at just that. It should end as a joke.
Real eyes, realize, realize.
He's sexually assaulted Starlight and people are calling him the Peak. Now it's all jokes, until it's not.
Can you believe Jack Black? Not Jack Black, what's that motherfucker's name?
So I think you could take a pretty good guess on why this is on the Iceberg. Homelander has a very strange and abnormal and weird and gross obsession with milk, and it's never exactly clear why. It could be representing his almost childlike mind because he never got to have and experience a real childhood. He has severe mommy issues and is clearly very frustrated in that manner. It even seemed like he became jealous of Stillwell's infant son because she was breastfeeding him. He was just staring at them through the wall. It's so creepy. And you know, you almost feel for the guy because he never had a childhood. But at the end of the day, he's still a psychopathic weirdo that enjoys breast milk from a woman that he murdered in cold blood. Alright, liberal satire. Now I am not a big politics guy whatsoever, but it is very important to talk about the underlying political messages and satire in this show. I'll talk about the liberal satire first, then I'll move on to the right-wing stuff. So there are moments when the show pokes fun at that type of ideology, such as when corporations like Vought try to appeal to the LGBTQ by advertising Maeve out there as a lesbian, even though she's bisexual, because lesbian just sounds better. And she's a sort of poster girl to make them look inclusive. Also making sure they always have one non-white member of the Seven, again, to make them look more inclusive. And this all kind of ties into the super left-wing type of stuff.
Really, what I'm trying to say is they act like they care about being inclusive when in reality they could care less.
It's just making fun of the whole liberal wokeness thing. But to be honest, it is more of a left-leaning show. It does poke fun at every political group, but it's more obvious at poking fun at the right. Again, I could be wrong about a lot of this stuff because politics are not my thing, but that's just from what I've seen. Right-wing satire. So the right-wing satire in this show does seem a bit more blatant and obvious than the left-wing stuff, with Homelander having clear parallels to Donald Trump and Homelander supporters representing Trump supporters. You know, the very stereotypical type, particularly Todd. He is supposed to represent a Trump supporter that will go with anything Trump or Homelander says. Also, when Blue Hawk starts saying all soups matter, I'm sure you can see what that's referring to. Again, not going completely into detail here because, let's face it, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to politics. I don't associate with any political group, I'm just here making a video about the boys. But this stuff is too big not to mention here. Disrespectful scene. So the scene with Homelander lasering a crowd of people originally got canceled because its filming would only take place 1 year after the van attack in the business district of Toronto. Toronto councillor John Fillion said that the scene was just straight up disrespectful, so he made some phone calls and got the scene canceled. Now the scene did end up being made just in season 2, so I don't know if they convinced the guy or they just filmed it somewhere else. The scene was supposed to be in the first season, but they moved it to the second because of that. I completely understand why John Fillion didn't want them filming it in Toronto, especially after the terrible van attacks. Black Noir's return. So if you've seen the season 3 finale, which I hope you have if you're watching this video, you know that Black Noir was gutted by Homelander. We've gotten teased with Soups dying just to find out they've actually somehow survived, but I'm pretty sure Black Noir is actually dead this time. His death was never announced publicly though, which is interesting. That probably means they will replace Noir with someone else, which will be very easy considering Noir never shows his face, or even talks for that matter. In the comics, Noir was a Homelander clone, and there's a chance that the show will also go with that route, but I wouldn't say it's likely. Nothing is confirmed besides the fact that we know Noir is gonna return in some way. Almost 100% not as the guy he was before, but as someone else just wearing Noir's suit. Now whether that'll be a Homelander clone or just some guy they put in his suit, we shall see. Or maybe it'll even be a clone of Black Noir if they could do that.
Here comes the A-Train!
Butcher will take Compound V. So it was revealed at the end of season 3 that the Temp V that Butcher was taking is completely destroying his brain. And he was told he has anywhere from a year to 18 months left to live. That is where this theory or prediction comes in. I feel like the only feasible way for Butcher to survive would be just to risk it by taking permanent Compound V. We know that Compound V drastically varies between people. Some die pretty violently after taking it, while others get superpowers. And we don't even know if taking permanent Compound V would repair his brain or stop it from melting. But that might be the only chance he has to live longer. I think he should just do it. You might as well try. I mean, what is he really gonna gain from not doing it if he's just gonna die in a year anyways? Sure, maybe it'll be a more peaceful death than dying violently by Compound V, but it's like your only chance, man. I would not be able to handle Butcher's death. Ryan will be the final antagonist. This is a theory that Ryan, Homelander's son, will be the final antagonist in the show. He will surpass his father in strength, he will become evil, and he will be a force to be reckoned with. Obviously, that implies that Homelander will die in the near future, or maybe even be stripped of his powers by Soldier Boy somehow. And his son will take his spot trying to avenge his father, which would just mean targeting the boys. Ryan will clearly grow up to be damn near just as deranged as Homelander. I mean, we saw his reaction to Homelander killing that man for no reason. Well, not no reason, but a severe overreaction. It would create a very interesting situation because Butcher would be going against Ryan. And Butcher was like a sort of father figure to him before Homelander's crazy ass stepped in.
I'm the Homelander.
Then again, this theory is a bit of a stretch. I could just never see Butcher or the boys going against Ryan. I also feel like once Homelander dies, it will be the end of the show. Still, I like this theory. R-rated 11. This is a nickname given to Cindy, who, if you remember, was the lady in the mental institute for soups that would blow up people by just staring them down. Similar to Victoria Newman's powers. They call her this because she is just a grown-up and more violent version of 11 from Stranger Things. They both have kinda similar powers, but I think it's the buzz cut that really does it. And the big difference is Cindy is much more mentally unstable. I haven't seen this nickname widely used, but I saw it online and I thought it was funny, so I added it here. 20-foot prosthetic penis. We all know about the infamous season 3 episode 1 termite scene where Termite and some other guy are engaging in intercourse, and the fellow decides that it'd be a great idea for Termite, whose powers are to shrink and grow at will, to climb inside his urethra and give him stimulation through there. Before he does though, he takes a bump of coke, which makes his nose a bit itchy and causes him to sneeze while in the man, which makes him go back to normal size and blow him up everywhere. You know the scene. The point is, for this scene, they had a very big prosthetic penis. It was a real practical thing that they built, standing at 11 feet high and 20 feet long, with the inside of it and everything. It was also reportedly very expensive to build, as you could imagine, but it's another point where the boys try to use as little CGI as possible.
Yeah, he's got a hard-on for mass murder and giving kids cancer, and his big old answer.
Stormfront is Homelander's mom. So this entry is self-explanatory and it's also extremely disturbing. The theory comes from the fact that Soldier Boy is Homelander's dad. We know it's only biologically because he didn't actually get anyone pregnant. He just let them use his DNA. But there is still the fact that Soldier Boy and Stormfront used to get it on and they found Herogasm together. So who's to say they didn't combine Soldier Boy's sperm with Stormfront's egg? You know that they would be willing to do something like that. And maybe Homelander got his ability to fly from Stormfront. Obviously, the reason this theory is so disturbing is because Homelander and Stormfront were literally dating. This show crosses lines all the time, and it's known for being really far out there. But please don't make this become a reality. I am begging you, this is the only theory I don't want to become true. It's too far. Sir Comes a Lot 779. You know I had to add this onto the Iceberg, man. It's way too funny not to. This is the screen name of someone video chatting with Crimson Countess on a site that is only comparable to OnlyFans called Soup Porn Platinum. The funny part about this though is that Seth Rogen was the one playing the guy that was on the call. What's even better is that Seth Rogen confirmed that Sir Comes a Lot 779 is Seth Rogen in the Boys universe. So the Seth Rogen that exists in the Boys universe is also Sir Comes a Lot. By the way, I'd like to point out that my man is paying $19.50 per minute on this video call. Yeah, I get Crimson Countess is a soup and all, and I get that Seth Rogen is a celebrity, so he still has money, but damn, that's a lot of money for something like that. Homelander masturbation canceled scene. So many infamous scenes have been in the show already, but one of the most infamous is Homelander pleasuring himself on top of a New York City skyscraper. This scene, or a scene similar to this, was not allowed to be put into season 1. Amazon basically told Eric Kripke, hell no, why do you need this scene in the show? You have to cut that. He explained to them that the scene was necessary as it was a look into Homelander's psyche. Eventually in season 2, I guess Amazon had a change of heart, or he just convinced them because they allowed the scene in. There's also the chance that Eric Kripke changed up the scene a little bit to make it more tame, but I don't know how you can make that scene more tame. I don't want to know what the scene was like before if we got the tame version.
Nothing. I'm not doing anything. Why would you even... This octopus was sick. Why would you...
Cindy is Victoria Newman's daughter. So obviously during the season 2 finale, it was revealed that Victoria Newman was the one exploding all of the heads. Before, people thought it was Cindy. But Cindy and Victoria Newman do have very similar powers. While Victoria Newman specifically targets the heads, Cindy targets the whole body. But still, it's similar explosions and the same amount of death. So what if Cindy is somehow related to Victoria Newman? What if Cindy is her daughter? It's hard to judge Cindy's age because of the buzz cut, but it's still a possibility that she's Victoria Newman's daughter. It's probably more likely that she's just related to her somehow. And there's no evidence that Compound V makes siblings or relatives have similar powers. And realistically, since Victoria Newman is a soup, she could be much older than she first appears. It's a stretch, and the only real link is that they have similar powers. But my god, wouldn't that be a plot twist? Ice Cream Man canceled scene. During season 1, the showrunner said no to one wild sex scene that involved an ice cream man having sex with a woman doggy style when she's wearing a fur coat. I don't see anyone talk about this, so that's why I put it so far down. Who was this ice cream man and who was the woman, and why does this have any relevance? I don't know. The fact that this scene was even considered is just... I don't know.
And I tried finding more information on it, but there's just nothing out there, trust me.
Herogasm censored. So some scenes that were planned for Herogasm either got shut down pretty fast by Amazon, or the actors or actresses were just too hesitant or didn't want to do them, which is very understandable. I mean, it's Herogasm. But in a few different countries, Herogasm was heavily censored, such as India. They blurred a lot of stuff, they cut out some scenes. The episode apparently just sucked in countries like India because it was so heavily censored. You could barely tell what was going on in some scenes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed The Boys Iceberg. If there's any other shows you want me to cover an iceberg on, just let me know in the comments. This is Lucas signing out. Have a blessed day.